Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of We Global Employees Choice series, where we celebrate excellence in employee engagement and uncover the secrets of extraordinary winners and champions who are redefining workplace engagement and setting new standards in the industry. Today, we have with us Mr. Kinner Sachdev, the CEO of Knorish. Kinner Sachdev is a senior entrepreneur and innovator who has been one of the youngest patent holders in India. His current company, Knorish, is helping organizations, celebrities, and experts convert content into revenue with the power of AI across 19 countries to his last startup in UK. He helped Fortune 500 and global education brands launch products globally. Kinner is a well-known speaker, voracious leader, and an aspirational learning hacker. Kinner has received accolades such as Business World's in Entrepreneur 35 Under 35 and Times 40 Under 40. Welcome, Mr. Kinner, and we congratulate you for winning We Global Employees Choice Awards for the best CEO as well as for the best workplace.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Clement.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for that kind introduction and for having me here with you.
So let's start with some questions for you, Kinner.
The first question would be, your company won the V Global Choice Workplace. And what do you think that you differently done to win this award from the others?
Sure. I will not just focus on the award, but I'll talk about generally what is the way that we like to deal and work with people here at Knorish. I believe one of the biggest differentials that we have tried to set this organization up with is that we are what we believe people to be like. Let me put that into perspective. So, like they say, treat people the way you would want them to treat you. I believe that everybody likes friends, family members who are nice and kind. The word kind is very important at workplace or anywhere in life. A lot of people kind of confuse things with, kind being not an operative word inside business, but I completely disagree. Doesn't matter where we land with this startup or where a lot of companies land with the narrative that they, try and take the maximum work out of people, give them, you know 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks. I believe all of those conversations fall short of the narrative where being kind is put into perspective as at the center place of any organization or any team that you're trying to build. So I think whatever you have chosen us to be part of this award, and we won this award, I think the central premise there is that we like to treat people here in a kind way, whether it's assignment of a goal, whether it's assignment of their job description, their OKRs. People who fall short, people who achieve them, it doesn't matter how their performance is. There is a reward, there is a punishment, there is a let's say a kind of a hard way that comes in front of them, but it's all done in a kind environment and in a transparent, objective way. So I think overall that's the philosophy, and there are ways established globally to approach things in an objective way without getting rude, without having stern or let's say inhumanly kind of responses. So all of that is what probably made us being considered for this award, and us being at the forefront of this. So I think that to me is the central philosophy that kind of got us to win this.
Great. And it really takes something to implement kindness in the workplace. And I'm happy that you have done it and you have successfully implemented it, got success out of it. Great. So the next question is, you also won the V Global Choice Best CEO Award. So what is it that, again, the same thing that you have done differently? What is your philosophy of being a best CEO?
See, I think I probably don't deserve it, and I'm being very honest. I think there is a very long way for me to be the ideal CEO or a leader that I would really want to be. I am a work in progress, but I am a keen learner. So I would say that when I do deserve it, I would optimum at an optimum level going to display qualities that the greats of leadership like Dale Carnegie. I love the book and I live by it, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People. By the title of it, people think it's a book about how do you make friends. It's somewhere in the zone of how to date better, how to be friends with people at parties better, but it's none of that. It's one of the best leadership manuals that people like Warren Buffett swears by. So I think my style of dealing with people, I won't even call it leadership, whether it's friends, family, or teammates, is always governed by, can you be interested in people? Can you try and help them and get to their point of view? Be empathetic and try and assign anything, try and establish any rule or principle from that viewpoint. So I think the central premise of this philosophy has helped me a lot. There are a lot of things that are on my desired list. Keep getting better at hiring better and better people, who are a fantastic fit with the kind of work we are doing. I think I want to learn that, because I believe a lot of times when you bring people onto a role where it's not the best match for their skill set, sometimes there's a bit of a strain at their end. Doesn't matter how kind you're trying to be, they still feel that strain. So I think that's all a part of the learning that I'm getting onto. But I believe if I have been able to make an impression and help people to perform at a decent level so far, it's all because I do live by that philosophy, which I read when I was just in school. So I think that probably is, been the, let's say, the standard operating manual for my interaction style with my teams. I won't even call it a leadership style. I think there is a long way for me to be when I proudly say that, yeah, I respect myself as a leader. So I think there's a long way to go there. But thank you for the award. I don't deserve it, but I take it with pride. And I think it's the team's hard work and feedback and their respect that kind of has made us deserve this.
As an organization CEO, what is your view on employee engagement and its impact on the business?
Sure. It's a fantastic question. I think we are living in very interesting times. I believe throughout the civilization's development, since we have the industrial ages, the digital age, now we've entered into an AI age. We're going to see a lot of differentials in terms of how people want to work, the way they want their organizations to treat them, the kind of flexibilities, the kind of ability, skills that they will need to perform at the optimum level. Employee engagement has never been more important. I believe the speed of the change that we see in organizations is just unimaginable. And especially when you're a tech company and an AI company, I think you are on your toes every single day. It's only the ability of people in your organization to be able to constantly learn, evolve, and be engaged with the product and their OKRs, whatever the roles they have defined to pick in the organization. How do they evolve? It's going to be a make or break for any organization. And like I said, there is a long way for us to go, long way for us to go and learn and get better at all of these. But I believe the age we look at, I think learning constantly, the engagement of an employee to constantly upskill himself, and not at the scale of once a year doing one certification. It's almost like, are you improving yourself on a weekly basis? Are you able to maintain not just the lists of your execution that take you towards the achievement of your OKRs, but also skills that you desire to develop in yourself? Whatever the objectives and key responsibilities you picked up in your organization, you should be able to constantly move towards betterment. And if that is achieved by an organization, I think we will have a company that's able to stand at a certain pedestal and say that they're building the right kind of employee skill set, they are engaged, and they're connected to the kind of work they are performing on a daily basis.
How crucial is the manager's roles in team engagement and what challenges do they face?
Well, yeah, a lot of I think it's a multi-threaded question. Let me try and take it on from a perspective of skills only. I have personally seen that managers are a key, as we all know, because whatever is the vision of the company, the mission that the company has picked up to achieve, it's all threaded down to the end of the organization through a chain of command. You have people who are at the helm of affairs, who are kind of being governed by the market forces, sometimes a lot of investor guidance as well. We are an externally funded company. And then eventually, once we get down to the objectives that as a company we want to attain, the kind of features, products, customer service principles that we want to follow, now it's in the hand of managers to make sure that their personally achievable tasks, or whatever they are trying to define for themselves as goals to be achieved in a quarter, in a month, are all connected to the overall mission of the organization, and it all becomes like a pedestal. It's not an easy ask. I think companies like Google have been able to achieve things like that. I mean, Intel, Google, people who implemented the philosophies of OKR frameworks really well. I believe as an organization that's still developing, there's a long way for us to go. I see that managers also have differential abilities, but connecting it with my earlier answer, constant evolution is going to keep getting them better and better about how do they define those objectives, those goals, constantly evolve them and constantly improve their ability to follow through, maintain that list, look at that list, and make sure nothing falls through the crack, because the noise of information has never been stronger in the world before. So I think the managers have a very tough task at hand, and especially when you're trying to build a nice and a good place to work, I think they will have to treat everything in a kind way. And when I say this, a lot of people say, that's a stupid comment because you can't be kind in an organization, but I stand by it. Let me just put it there that there are ways where you can be stern. You can even have consequences of not achieving an OKR, and they can be as hard as you telling people that, this role doesn't work for you. I think you will be much better placed in another organization, because what matches up with your aspirations and your long term career goals does not fit here. And I think in those type of situations, you have to define boundaries, have a very articulate way of putting those consequences in front of your people to the last end, where all of these stitch into each other. So you have a kind way of letting people go, putting the consequences in front of people, putting performance improvement plans in front of people, and when they perform well, you have to be hearty in your encouragement and your rewards. So all of that kind of helps the managers execute the entire vision in a seamless way.
Great. Thank you for speaking up.
Winning the VMATA award signifies strong employee engagement practices. What advice would you give to other leaders who want to prioritize employee engagement?
Sure. I would just want to summarize what I've said, right? And put it into perspective. And I love lists, So here is the list that you would look at if you're trying to make a better organization at any scale. You can only be as good as the people in your company. So, if you have red marks of people being aggressive, not being not implementing whatever the OKRs in a stern but kind way, which is absolutely possible, I think you have a red flag there of not having a good cultural fit in the organization. There people can improve, but they need to have that intention that they are ready to go to the next level and implement and improvise on a daily basis. So have that as your hiring checklist standard point, and don't ask questions like what were your marks in the bachelor's, how long did you work with your last organizations. You'll have to go into psychological questioning, you'll have to put them into perspectives and positions. And I'm myself learning that, so let me be honest here that this is one of my learning goals, that how do you do that, how do you gauge into somebody's psychology and understand how do they perform under pressure. And I believe this I tell to my daughter as well. I have a 7-year old, and I think this applies very well in organizations for people who are trying to do this. I tell her that you'll not see any hero movie where the hero gets angry in tough situations. So if it's Spider-Man fighting the toughest of the battles, you'll see that he's calm, because as soon as he loses his calm, he's no longer the superhero. And there is no exception to that. When I asked her that, and she loves superhero movies, she's seen so many of those, the best performance, the best solutions only come when you have your calm and peace around, right? So kindness is not actually just a value to live by. It is a quality that has got the best scientists, the best engineers, the best businessmen to go and pass through the toughest of situations in their lives. I know all of us lose it at times. I'm not saying we are, any of us are superhumans and superheroes, but try and maybe stick to it 90% of the times, 95% of the times. And the final points, OKRs, implement OKRs in your organization. It's very tough, but try and do like a quarterly OKR setup. Try and align them to every individual role and see if the pedestal kind of reaches up to the mission that your company has. So even, let's just say the coffee maker in your company, if you can align the largest mission of your organization into the end goal of the end OKR, that will be a brilliant place to kind of stitch everything in an objective way. And the feelings, or let's say the hard kind of subjective opinions, then get away from your organization. You make an objective organization, which is a great place to work. And this I learned from Google. We're part of the Google for Startups, the AI, the top 20 AI company. So and there was a lot to learn there. So behaviors, OKRs, I think these are the holy grails of making a great workplace. But I put that with a caveat. I'm learning all of that myself, and I'm loving to share what I am learning. I hope we all get together there someday and are proudly able to say that we've been able to implement these in our organizations to the final point.
What message would you like to give to young leaders or entrepreneurs?
I don't deserve to be giving them a suggestion because I think I'm still a product in the making in a huge way. I think there's a long way for me to go. But whatever I've learned, I think these are the principles, right? You have, as entrepreneurs, you have the opportunity to build the organization in your own image. People build companies like Sam Altman, OpenAI. One of the things that I love about that company, he said that usual product iteration time for companies is in months. Every quarter you release a few features. My ambition was, can I roll it into weeks? So he's built a very agile, systematic organization that's super fast, right? The ability for you guys to be able to build an organization in your image, the things that you love. You don't have to copy anyone. If there's a great multi-billionaire, one of the richest guys in the world says, get your people to work 70 hours and it doesn't gel with you, don't build that organization. You might not get to a $50 billion valuation. You probably will only get to $1 billion, but you're not building it to compete on numbers. You're trying to make a dent in the world, right? I mean, you're trying to create a great product that shapes your industry, helps a lot of people, and you don't need to be following the richest guy in the world to be able to do that. So even if it's a small group that says that, okay, this is also possible, that you could create a company that's highly innovative, has completely remote working, is flexible. I mean, or maybe everybody works from the office, but there are beds in the office. People sleep there. They're all friends. People play tennis, badminton, whatever. So build it in your image and you're going to find your tribe. You will find people that like to live, work in the same way. And that's the best part of living in today's time. So, as an entrepreneur, I believe run your experiment. There are imperatives, but then there are choices to build that structure and how to get there. Make the journey more enjoyable. Just don't lose your sleep over the destination. It will come when it has to.
How did VMatter help you in engaging people and driving revenue growth?
Great initiative, V Matters. I mean, I think you guys are doing a terrific job to highlight and shine a spotlight on companies that are running organizations based on certain values, and people in those organizations feel nice. They have the kindness to reflect back appreciation on their leaders, on their organization, on the culture. I think it's a great effort. I believe there are going to be a lot of lessons for new entrepreneurs, people who are just starting out. We are like about a 40 people team, but I know a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start out, they need playbooks for these. So what you are doing is going to show them a lot of ideas from people who are being recognized, companies that are liked by people. And I think you'll become a great organization that can show that path to your organization. And I think you should definitely build maybe an academy, or maybe like a great place with a set of videos, ebooks, where people could learn how all of these organizations that you choose can implement similar principles in every workplace. So I think kudos to you, and I hope it goes a long way, and we are able to learn principles that can open up eyes of a lot of people to things that they never thought are possible in organizations. So um, I congratulate you and wish you all the best to take it global, make it even bigger. And I thank you for choosing us and making us a part of this initiative in the early stages. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your words. And let this be my last question. I'm very curious about this, the kindness part that you are talking about. You have given me enough perspective, but I just want to ask you one question about it. The
Sure.
one hurdle that stops people from implementing kindness in workplace. The thing is, if I be kind with people, the others will take advantage of it. So that's the one thing that stops people from being kind, maybe my perspective. So how do you think about, have you faced any of those issues when you are being kind, you create a kind workplace? That's where people don't take the stress and they take the advantage of it. So how do you handle it? What's your opinion on it?
I think it's a matter of beliefs, Clement. So let me just put it this way. You know why people get aggressive, and it's a psychological or a spiritual question. When you think about this question, you'll understand that people like to control. They want to take control of the situation, the narrative, this, let's say somebody's performance. And it's a belief long ingrained in a lot of cultures and around the world, where even parents, when the child is not doing something right, the usual answer is, why don't you get angry at him, put him right, beat him up. And that does bring control. You got gain control of the behavior. Let's say the child wasn't doing the right thing, or the employee wasn't making enough calls, the sales calls, and you got angry on him, you shouted at him, brings control, right? And you do that every single day, bringing control. But my point is, in today's time, when you see the best performances in any domain come at a place where you play or perform from a point of peace. So whether it's the Roger Federer of tennis to, a scientist coming up with a new invention, creative work, or let's just say where you want the people to be aligned with the best of themselves, and their life is balanced. They are not just making all those sales calls, but at home they are not with their peace of mind, they're depressed. How long do you think you'll hold such an employee? How long do you think he'll be able to carry the values back to the customer? Do you think if you shout at him, he's not going to shout at some customer? Impossible. So you build a circle. The best performance will come when people are calm, when there is a position where the consequence is clear, but people are able to perform from a state where there's no agitation. And I think we're living in unique times where especially in this country, there are a lot of spiritual literature in almost all religions, or let's say in so many books, which points towards this way of living. So my take here is that you'll have to just look at it from a different perspective. I personally believe that it's a wrong narrative. You can be kind and still be stern, because the fits have to be found in that way. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just the discipline of being that way, and the beliefs is what makes people not behave that way. So it's just, you've got to believe in it, that this is the only way we can foster a good world, we can foster a good home or a good company. That you'll have to, if you want somebody to learn something, be kind, be nice, and you can still get your work done, and for a much longer duration in a much more powerful way. So that's my perspective.
So you actually did answer my question in the best possible way. Thanks for it. And that's it from our side, guys. Thanks for joining us. And thanks, Mr. Kinner, for joining us and sharing your wonderful perspective. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here, Clement.